There's one family member actually that you talk about in the book, which who you have managed to talk about in some way, shape or form about sex or about those sorts of things, which is your Gran.
Yeah, my Gran.
Which the way that you write about her is so wonderful, and your conversations about I think there's a moment where she maybe thinks that orgasm was a myth. Is that right?
Yeah. So female for females.
For females.
For people with vulvas. Yeah. So we talked loads. I really miss her for that reason, and that was the thing that I was most worried about in the book. But just because she died about a year ago, but before she died, we'd been talking about it, and I've written stuff about her before in our conversations about sex and just her general knowledge about a lot of her friends at the time and her life at the time, and this just rubbish sex education. Like, if I thought mine was rubbish, it's like, oof. Yours was really, really bad. And I said to her, do you mind if I say at a gig about this idea of orgasms? Because we were talking once, and I said, oh, they're really good though, they're really good. And I sort of mentioned that she had a good power shower in in a house that you could take off the wall, and we sort of had this ridiculously awkward but funny conversation about that. And I said to her, do you mind if I say this at a gig, because I've written this poem which partly mentions it? And she was like, no, it's fine. But now she can't say that, so it's sort of more awkward. But yeah, I just learned so much from talking, like, to all my grandparents, but to talk to someone in their 90s about sex and sex education in their day, and also to have conversations, because we all, I guess, had kids quite young. So we had, at one point, my Gran, or quite a lot, for about 10 years, my Gran, my mum, me, and my daughter, and sometimes my aunties, and to have like 4 generations discussing like different levels of shaming about sexual stuff, and stuff about thinking the clitoris was a herb, for example. and then but even when I was doing sex education, the clitoris wasn't factored into anything.
Definitely
and
not.
Now I see my daughter and her friends, and one of them was bringing in like a Play-Doh clitoris that the teacher wouldn't let them use in school when they were like 7, and sort of dragging their friends in the toilets to sort of teach them better sex education. But it's still, it seems to be getting better and better, but still not quite there. But yeah. It's been amazing. Like, part of the reason that I really wanted to call this book Other Things I've Been Told to Hate was because of those conversations with her, and it's kind of dedicated to my grandmas and to my mum. Not sure my mum's like really really pleased about it, but she has read it and is all right with it, so yeah.